Hey there, welcome to The Social Space. This is the show all about Wichita Falls, Texas, and the whole wide world. Let's introduce everybody first, then do the partners. How about that?
Okay.
I'm Eric Crossland. Hey, making our guests just sit here while I do that.
Yeah.
Eric Crossland here, one of your hosts. To my left, the one, the only, back from Rusty Taco, Jackie Hoegger.
Had a good taco.
Yeah?
It was good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
The people in Wichita Falls don't know what that is, but you know.
Well, Rusty Taco is a franchise, in case you don't know.
Yeah,
They're
they have them in
based
the
all over the
Metroplex.
United
Yeah.
States, but a lot in the Metroplex.
Yeah, they sure do. It's one of our clients.
One of our clients.
To your left, Andrew Bell, probably have done a few graphics for Rusty Taco and some other places. Yeah. Good to have you. Looks like you got a fresh haircut.
Yeah, I did.
I remember when I used to get haircuts. And to my right, our guest from the Wichita Falls Symphony Orchestra. I'm going to try this.
That's right. Yes.
Fouad Fakhouri.
That's right. Fouad.
Hey, thanks for being here.
Thank
And what is your title exactly there?
So I'm the music director and conductor of the Wichita Falls.
That's what we thought. Okay, real quick, we're going to thank our sponsors.
Yes.
Let's break it up. I'll do the first one, Channel 6 KAUZ. We air there 10:35 Sunday nights now. Ooh, ratings are through the roof now that we've went to Sunday.
They are. I literally was at the grocery store last week and got hit up 2 or 3 times, people saying they watch the show every Sunday.
I had a lady on Indiana over here ask me, she goes, are you that guy on the Jackie Space? I was like, close enough, yes I am.
Oh my gosh.
And then who's our radio partner, Jackie?
Oh my gosh, 1290 News Channel 6, Town Square Media. We're always grateful for them.
10:30 a.m. on Saturdays,
10:30
audio
a.m. on
version,
Saturday.
and
Falls Truck Center, Tanya and Sean Choate.
there you go.
We
See
sure
you,
do
Sauce.
appreciate y'all.
Okay, those are our partners. Fouad, thank you for being here. So, you have an accent. Where are you from?
Oh, so I'm from the Panhandle.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. Yeah.
Not quite. So no, I'd say it's very interesting. So I was born in Lebanon, in Beirut, Lebanon, and then my father got a job he worked in Jordan. So I moved around 14, 15 to Jordan, and then I came when I was 17 to the U.S. and I did come to the Panhandle to go to college here. Yeah. Okay.
A lot of people come from overseas to Texas, and we'll take you.
Yeah, I know. I love Texas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. Oh, God. Right thing to say.
No, it's the truth, though. Yeah, I mean, I really
It's hard
do
not to love it,
Yeah,
except for last week.
Yeah.
Except for last week.
I wasn't here last week. So it doesn't matter.
Oh my gosh, good for you.
So how did you become a conductor?
So I come from a musical family. You know, my great-grandfather, he was a medical doctor, but he played organ at church every Sunday. And my grandfather worked in the TV when it was first starting in Lebanon. He wrote jingles, and you know, it was during the 50s, so whatever they needed a person to write music for a live show, he would be sitting in the corner writing music so that they could perform it.
Oh my gosh.
So then my grandfather did that, and then my father went into, was also a musician, is also a musician. He teaches college and ran a conservatory of music. That's why we moved to Jordan. So it was one of those things, I didn't have almost a choice. I just had to go through what the family does.
It's in your blood.
Yeah.
How long have you been conducting?
So when I came to college, I started as a music composition student. And when I was doing my master's in Pennsylvania at Penn State, I really decided, I found myself sitting and writing music in a small room for people. And I lost contact with other musicians. And I really wanted to get back that contact with musicians. And I went into conducting. And so I got 2 master's degrees. So I started really conducting when I was in my early 20s, 21, 22, 23. And then, but then I did my doctoral work in composition. But my first orchestra, my first music director orchestra I think I was 31. So that's about 16 years. Now you know my age too.
Have you enjoyed
amazing.
Wichita Falls?
I love Wichita Falls.
Good.
It's been terrific. It really has. I think, we had a board meeting earlier today. And I have to tell you, the community, the city is so lucky to have such great people supporting this orchestra. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of history behind the orchestra. And I'm sure you know the video that we did for to celebrate our history. I think you were involved in that, right? I mean, you made that video, right?
Yeah.
So you saw the history of it, but there is just such support for the organization and pride in it that I feel blessed to even be part of it. It's terrific.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I will say that video was a great one to do. I think.
Yeah, that was the history of that you guys did a few years
and
ago before I was here.
it was,
And then we
and-
virtually just did a virtual concert with them, which was really neat too.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's hard to take an entire history and put it into 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But that was fun.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was really touching, I thought. Yeah.
I thought you did a great job. I mean, you know what I loved the most about it, and I still remember about the video, is the silence. So when you had people on stage, and there was not much going on, except for you were taking you were video recording the stage, the memorial, and they were left alone on that stage, and then there's this music in the background, and it sort of takes you back to a time.
Yeah.
And then you ran the history. I
Thank
thought it was
you.
really well done.
Yeah.
Thank you. We won some awards for that
You say,
video.
and if you need a documentary, 901 Indiana.
That's right. In fact, I think we might have a little surprise on that one still coming up.
That's right, segment 3.
Yeah, segment 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Is it Fouad?
Fouad, yeah.
Fouad.
Yeah. By the time
Fouad.
Yeah.
Can you explain the art of conducting an orchestra?
Yeah. I told you earlier, no. But I'll. So it's really interesting. I mean, it's like any other managerial job. My job is really to get the musicians together. They go there, they at home, they practice, they get their parts ready. They come on stage. You have about 50, 60, 70, 80 musicians that come together. My job is to make sure that they're all working together to achieve the vision that I have for this work. I am there simply to facilitate the process, and at least that's how I view it. If something is not working, then obviously I interject and I try to fix it. But if it's going well, then my job is to get out of their way and let them perform the music. So in that regard, really, that's how I view my position.
Is some of it like artistic, like just kind of almost dancing a little bit, like you're interpreting it? Do you know what you're going to do each moment?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would hope I do. Sometimes you don't, but no. So yeah, a lot of my work happens though before the concert. So I would say probably 80% of my job as a conductor does not have anything to do with the stage. So there are two components of my job. There's the administrative, which I work with our executive director Alicia and our board chair Elizabeth Hoegger to figure out what we're doing this season, how are we planning next season, guest artists, budgeting, etc. That we all have to be involved in that process. That's the admin side of my job. But the 80% that I'm talking about is the time I'm spending alone studying the music in preparation to coming and meeting with the musicians. So I have a very good idea of what I want and really have planned it out in my head and spent months, sometimes years, figuring out what I want this piece to be about. And but the trick is, and as you get older, you start realizing this more, is to the trick about anything is to know when not to interfere, when to let the people that are doing their jobs, if they're doing it well, just get out of the way, let them do it.
Yeah.
So when sometimes you see me doing a little bit less motion, it's going well, so I don't need to be, forcing myself.
Interesting.
That is
Cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
So how does someone what do you do to become a part of the orchestra? Just to be involved in any form or fashion, what do you do?
So as a musician, as an orchestral musician, we're very fortunate. We have professional musicians. So you have to audition to join the orchestra. And the level of musicianship that we have in the orchestra is quite high. Most of our musicians are professional musicians that play in other orchestras or are teachers of university or schools, high schools, etc. However, we have other opportunities. We have board members who are volunteers that join our board and make sure that we are being run properly. So, and when we have obviously other volunteers that help assist, other than the board members, the organization in general. We have people, for instance, like the league.
Yes.
We have the league that helps the orchestra with fundraising. Terrific group of ladies and guys as well. But they have this morning coffee that I so badly miss now with COVID. Every time I'd come here before a concert on Thursday mornings, they would put a coffee to have a coffee to get together. And they're such a great group of people. So there are many opportunities to be involved in the orchestra.
There you go. Awesome. You don't just have to. I was going to ask if y'all needed any recorders,
Yeah,
musicians. Because I can play Mary Had a Little Lamb like it.
I've got a 7-year-old that's pretty talented on the piano.
Yeah, I saw a video of that
that's
on
great.
Instagram just today.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have much more time here, Fouad, but real quick, has COVID had an impact on the arts of?
It has. It's been difficult, but it's been difficult on all of us, right? I mean,
Sure.
This is not an easy time for any of us. But I think with difficulty, obviously, you find opportunity. And it's been great for us to do these virtual concerts. Last concert we did, you could record it and edit it. And that's a different thing that we haven't done before. And I'm hopeful that from this process we will learn, and now every concert we do, live concert, we can somehow record it and archive it for future purposes, so that in 70 years, right, when they want to do the history of the orchestra, they have all this footage for the people that like you, they give it to you, and then you can create that history.
Cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Who's going to be running Hoegger in 70 years? All right, thank you so much. Yeah, I was going to say. So we're going to continue talking about orchestra. We have Alicia on when we come back. Thank you so much for being here. So we'll be right back with Social Space.
Falls Truck Center has parts and is quickly becoming the go-to provider for big truck parts for every major manufacturer on the highway, including thousands of in-stock OE and quality aftermarket brands. With over 45 years combined experience selling and locating those hard-to-find parts, Joseph and Jack are on standby and ready to assist you with any repair project. Need service too? Falls Truck Center can get you in a bay and back on the road within hours, not days or weeks. Come see us at Falls Truck Center next to Flying J. Call us at 940-64-PARTS.
Hey, welcome back to the Social Space, Wichita Falls Symphony Orchestra edition. Eric, Jackie, Andrew, and now to my right, Alicia Deges. How you doing, Alicia?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. What's your title over there?
I'm the executive director for the symphony. I've been with the symphony for about 7 years, but just 2 years in this position.
Okay,
Wow.
awesome.
And you know, you were just telling us that the symphony is going to embrace in 2022 75 years in Wichita Falls.
That's
That's
incredible.
That is incredible.
75th anniversary is coming up really quickly, and
Wow.
there's so much history with the symphony, and so many famous musicians that have come and performed here.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of it coming, and we're excited about
For
that.
anything to last 75 years, you know,
I
that's
know.
amazing.
I know, but what a, you know, they're at Memorial Auditorium. You know, you guys typically do about 5 concerts per season, but
Right.
due to COVID, y'all are running 3 this year.
Right, we had to cancel the last concert of last season in April, and then we decided to start late. So we started in January instead of November and December, and had just a 3-concert season this spring. But it's been really great. It's been a neat opportunity to get to do virtual concerts for the first time ever.
Yes.
And it's been a lot of fun. Our patrons have loved it, and it's been really, really good for the musicians to get to play again together after not performing together for a year.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, I you know, editing together those virtual concerts
Yeah.
that we did, some of those songs have just been in my head since then. It was really neat. It's just really good. If you haven't, been a while since you've listened to a real live orchestra, you know, I'd say check that out for sure.
Yeah. So Alicia, what is the mission of Wichita Falls Symphony Orchestra?
Our mission is to promote symphonic music that enriches, educates, and entertains a diverse audience in Texoma.
That's
So we
awesome.
really want to reach out to lots of different audiences and as far out as we can, because we're the closest really professional orchestra in quite a distance, and people don't have to go to Dallas to see a professional orchestra.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, what's y'all's website again?
It's WFSO.org.
Yeah, and you go there and you can see right there, it's real clear, the virtual concerts, and check those out. And we were, like we said earlier, one of those we were lucky enough to help you guys with, and we really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Now, you've got one coming up in April. Talk to us about this last one for the season.
Right, our last concert of the season is April 17th, and we're hoping to be back at Memorial for that concert. We'll have a guest performer, Igor, and he'll be performing the Golda Cello Concerto, which is kind of it's a different than where you usually perform. It's kind of more modern sounding, and we're going to do our wine pairing program with that as well. And maybe bring in the Wichita Falls Brewing Company to pair some beer with that one specifically.
That sounds like a hit.
Yeah.
People are going to be ready to be out in April. It's going to be
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. Well,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, we're going to take a break. And
Yeah.
Alicia, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Thank you guys. It was
you.
great.
Okay, we're going to be
Appreciate
back.
it.
For incredible radio stations. That's who we are. We are Townsquare Media, and we bring the best of radio to the North Texas area. Wake up early with NewsTalk 1290. That's us. How about Kelly Raspberry on 92.9 NIN? Yep, that's us. Bringing you the best of country with 102.3 The Bull. That's us. And rocking it all day long with 106.3 The Buzz. That's us. We are Townsquare Media, and we're proud to be a sponsor of the social space.
I remember when I first appreciated classical music.
I vividly remember walking down the aisle of the auditorium with my parents.
I remember the first time I held a violin.
I remember seeing my son play with the Wichita Falls Symphony.
I remember sitting in rehearsal.
I'll never forget the anticipation and the excitement of getting all dressed up to go to the symphony with my parents.
I remember on opening night dressing up in a tuxedo and coming to the symphony.
Music is truly God's gift to mankind.
The value of the Wichita Falls Symphony to this area, to Texhoma here, is priceless. There's no other entity that could fill this space if we did not have this wonderful orchestra.
The Wichita Falls Symphony Orchestra had its earliest beginnings in 1915 when Vienna transplant Ernest Katz established a group of 30 musicians who performed at Everton Music Hall. It was not until 6 years later, in 1921, that Katz was able to organize the first fully fledged orchestra in Wichita Falls. It was comprised of 65 musicians, most of whom performed for a living at the local moving picture houses. During the next 20 years, the orchestra was disbanded, then revived multiple times during the tumultuous stretch of history we now know as the Great Depression and World War II. While hardships were felt around the world, the light and passion for music never fully died in Wichita Falls.
We came to Wichita Falls right after the war, and we came the Christmas of '45. So I started with the symphony because it was just being formed and taking off, in other words.
The orchestra was revived after the Second World War in 1948 under the direction of Frédéric Balage. Under Balage, the Wichita Falls Symphony Orchestra became the 10th orchestra officially established in Texas.
People were anxious to help with this, so the whole thing just sort of worked out well.
The orchestra was comprised of 83 musicians from Wichita Falls, Dallas, and Fort Worth. Under Balage, the Wichita Falls Symphony Orchestra performed 4 regular subscription concerts every year.
We just had good people, we had good musicians, and much of it comes through having the Symphony League, Women's League.
The Wichita Falls Symphony Women's League was formed in 1952. Along with helping sell annual subscription tickets and program advertising, The league also hosted a glamorous annual ball at the Wichita Falls Country Club to help raise awareness and funds for the Wichita Falls Symphony Orchestra. This volunteer group continues to support the orchestra to this day through fundraising, offering scholarships to young area musicians, and acting as the Wichita Falls Symphony Orchestra's official historian.
The black tie and the symphony ball, just it was the highlight. It was so wonderful to the opening symphony in October, and then you had the ball in December. It was just marvelous. Great memories.
Also in 1952, the Hungarian Dr. Erno Daniel took the reins as the orchestra's next musical director and conductor. Under his 8-year tenure, the orchestra saw great progress, including 3 world premieres and a European broadcast in Stockholm, Sweden, that aired sections of the Wichita Falls Symphony Orchestra's concert on Swedish national radio. Dr. Walter Charles took the helm of the orchestra following Dr. Daniel's departure in 1960. Before ending his brief tenure in 1964, Dr. Charles led performances with Benny Goodman and operatic sopranos Nadine Connor and Eleanor Stieber. 1964 began what would become a 20-year tenure by the orchestra's 5th musical director, conductor, William Hurst Boyer. Under Boyer's leadership, Tex Omens were treated to a host of international talent. For his first concert, he led the internationally acclaimed pianist Van Cliburn, who returned for an encore performance 5 years later.
My first and earliest memory of the Wichita Falls Symphony, moving here to Wichita Falls at the age of 14, I was a young teenager, and my parents brought me to the symphony to hear the famous Van Cliburn.
Van Cliburn.
That's it, Van
Did
Cliburn.
he come here?
2 times.
Wow. What was he like in person? Was he in?
He talked and talked. He was not in a hurry at all, and at the time I probably didn't realize how important he was or who I was visiting with, but I certainly do today.
I came to the symphony performances as a young girl, and in those days, in the 70s, it was a huge social event. So I remember seeing all of my grandparents' generation and my parents' generation all here dressed up and really excited for the opening of the season and the concerts that came throughout the season.
Throughout the 70s, the orchestra continued to soar, but looming just ahead was an unforeseen economic recession that would bring with it difficult financial times for the entire nation.
Well, back in the 80s, a lot of symphonies disappeared because of funding. And with the support of the board members and a lot of different people in the community, we were able to raise our funding.
Through the passionate fundraising efforts of this community, the Wichita Falls Symphony Orchestra played on. Washington State native Theodore Plute was ushered in as the new musical director in the spring of 1986, a post he held through the 1994-1995 season. His first concert, which included artillery from the U.S. Marine Corps Reserves for the 1812 Overture, set the stage for a 10-year run, rich with special guests and highlights.
Concerts will be performed this season.
Last year we had a Wichita Falls Symphony season and these seats were full. Well, right now they're empty. But on tonight's Silver Report, let's find out if we're going to have a symphony season 1995-96.
Beginning with the 1996 season, Dr. Candler Schaefer was selected as the 7th conductor of the Wichita Falls Symphony Orchestra. During his tenure, Dr. Schaefer drew on rich local musical talent in Wichita Falls and the Metroplex, including 2 of the orchestra's most important advocates and benefactors, Mrs. Aurora Bolin and Mrs. Dale Prothro, who originally joined forces with the orchestra in 1968 and performed multiple times before returning to the stage together for the season opener in 1999.
Mom and Dale were bonded at the hip, or the fingers, so to speak. They had two pianos in our home, and Dale was always over there.
We really worked hard. Playing two pianos is kind of double duty. You have to practice by yourself, your own part, and then you have to practice together.
They were soulmates from the get-go, and we heard them play probably hundreds of hours.
My relationship with her was very special.
Dr. Schaefer completed his 20th and final season with the orchestra in spring of 2016. And after an international search, a new musical director, Dr. Fouad Fakhouri, will lead the 2017 season and beyond.
The future of the symphony. Well, I think we're off to a great start with Dr. Fakhouri. He's already made tremendous impact on our season this year, and he has different ideas about how to bring in new artists.
It brings the community closer together, not just, through music, but also through, other things as well.
We've expanded our educational programming to not just include the elementary schools of WFISD, but we've expanded to all different levels, high school, elementary, and middle school.
Many of our students don't get to travel to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so to have this professional orchestra right here in our community where they can drive 5 miles down the road, get a student ticket, and come see a professional performance, that is just an amazing opportunity that I'd ever hate to see leave our community.
There's just nothing like being in the core of an orchestra and have all that sound around you.
Here you're at a concert, and it's this live moment where you're just you and the audience and the musicians and the conductor, and you're all here together. And you're part of this greater moment, this kind of transcendent moment, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It's never going to happen again.
It was, oh my God, it was such an exhilarating experience. And I just, as I performed with them, I just kind of cried because it was just so beautiful.
And you know that you're part of something bigger than yourself. It's a beautiful thing.
I'll never forget the first time I heard the whole thing dress rehearsed. I remember the organ coming in, and it just felt like my stand was shaking. As loud and as powerfully as they can, the orchestra's doing the same thing, and then you have an organ that comes in over it and just fills the whole place. Like I said, I felt that immediate, I can't believe this. This is the craziest thing I've ever been a part of. I'll never forget that.
Because this is the 70th anniversary of this orchestra, I think a lot about the people who came before me and who have left us in such great shape and left us with such a strong institution.
I'm proud of the whole activity and the whole organization of it. It just couldn't be a stronger part of our community.